Previously on the Med School Interview Miniseries Part 1.
The one-on-one interview, panel interview. Group interviews are beloved MMIs. Open file, semi-open file, closed file. So now let's talk about some general interview tips that I have for you on interview day. So the first one that I have is if you're interviewing in a different time zone, make sure to convert your interview time to your local time zone because the time that they are going to give you is their time and it might not be the same as your time. And I personally liked to convert the whole schedule so I can keep track of where things are and what I can expect going forward because I don't really want to do any extra mental work on a stressful day like interview day. And number two is going to be write down the names of the people that you think will be helpful for you to mention later on. It's also really great if you want to write thank you notes and you want to address it to a certain person. You want to note down their name and maybe their position as well. This really helped to jog my memory later on when I wanted to bring up a certain point that a person made during the presentation part of the interview. This really shows that you pay attention and were being active during the rest of the interview day. Number three is going to be during the med student panel interview, don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. These are off record, they're not recorded, no faculty or no members of the admissions team is going to be there. The med students will not tattletale on you, so this is an opportunity for you to know more about the culture of the school, how the students feel about their school, maybe some red flags that you should be aware of. The med students will most likely give you the honest truth because we're going to be in the same boat as them, and I would like to believe that they have our best interest in mind when they're answering these type of questions, so they're most likely going to be very honest in their answer to you. For me, I felt like the med student panel answers was one of the major influence in my final decision on where I chose to attend medical school, as well as my overall perception of the school. Okay, number four is to not be afraid of taking pauses. Silence has been made to feel like this awkward thing, this very uncomfortable thing when we are experiencing it. But silence is okay. Silence gives space for the other person to process. Silence gives you space to process what you're thinking and then properly communicating that. And it's going to make you seem so much more confident than going straight into answering the question or keep chugging forward saying or those types of filler words will make you come off as you're not really sure what you're talking about. That being said, don't take pauses that are too long. In my personal experience, I've noticed that pauses in about the 2 to 3 seconds range is ideal, but no more than 5 seconds. And while I was practicing interviewing, I've heard that taking a sip of water to, I guess, stall and think about the question is an effective strategy, but I don't know, it just feels awkward to me. If I really needed to take a sip of water, I'm going to do it when they're asking me the question. If I need to pause to think, I'm going to take my time, do it confidently, and being comfortable with that silence. If you're not sure how to answer a question, talk through your thinking out loud. You can just admit that you're not really sure how to answer this question, but from what you currently know, your current knowledge, this is what you would do. And the things that you don't know, just say that you would look this up prior to handling XYZ situation, and they will totally be understanding because you are not expected to know everything. One of the things that was said in my case-based learning class is that when you don't know something, say, I don't know, but I will find out. I think that is a much more effective strategy to approaching these difficult situations that you're put in where you don't know how to answer the question. In addition to that, I've also found that asking for clarification is not only a good way to allow you more time to think, but also helps to make sure that you are answering the question that they want you to answer, instead of going off on this tangent that doesn't really relate to where they were trying to go with the question. So very important to ask clarification questions when you are not sure about something. In addition to that, interviewers will sometimes ask you multiple questions when they are initially posing the question. And it can be hard to keep track of all those questions when you're answering it. So at the end, it's always good to ask, is there anything else that you wanted to know that I missed in answering the question? Oftentimes they'll just say, Nope, you hit it all. So this is just really gonna show that you're being mindful and being respectful of their question and really trying your best to ensure that all of their questions have been addressed. Whenever I'm doing these types of things, I always forget what number I'm on. But my next tip is to always come to your interviews with questions, whether it's for the faculty or for the med students. Make sure you always have questions. If you don't have a question for the particular school, come up with a generic question that you can use universally across the different schools that you're interviewing at, because nobody's really gonna know. Unless you were in the same interview with that person multiple times, which did happen to me. I saw this one applicant, I believe, like 3 times. All right, I have 2 left. The first one is to be engaged during the presentation portion, or when they are asking you discussion questions. While they might not outwardly say that this is going to factor into their consideration of your admission, I feel like subconsciously there's always going to be this gravitation towards people who are very engaged and who can contribute to conversations. So I think it's important to stay alert throughout your entire interview day and try to participate as much as possible. Last and finally, doing my interviews, I have noticed that I feel a lot more comfortable interviewing with med students and I can really be more myself, but make sure you are still trying to remain professional. Okay, and finally, let's just talk a little bit about appearance. Make sure that the parts that are seen is professional. And I've always heard this tip is to wear light blue on the bottom. I wear sweats. I also had a blanket on my lap just so that I can be as relaxed and as cozy as possible when I'm doing my interviews. And then with virtual interviewing, make sure you have good lighting, especially if you're interviewing in a different time zone. I didn't end up getting any ring light or anything, but the lighting was horrible when I had to like get up and interview at 5 or 6 in the morning during the winter time. So definitely invest in a ring light if you can. Next, just make sure you have clean hair, neutral makeup, minimal jewelry. As I've said earlier, virtual interviews tend to be a little bit more casual. They will allow you to take bathroom breaks. Just make sure to mute yourself and turn off your camera when you do leave during the presentation portion, because it is long. It is very long and you will need those breaks. I also turn off my camera when I'm like drinking something or when I'm yawning because it's so early in the morning, but try to leave it on for the most part and try to leave it on for as long as possible. I also like to wear earbuds just because it's going to cancel out some of that background noise, and I think that makes a huge difference. All right, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and just a reminder, please take care of yourself. You are so close to being done with the med school app process. You are literally just one step away, and if nobody has told you this, you are doing really great. This process is hard, there's no doubt about that, and people really don't understand how hard it is until they are a part of it. I actually went to the hairstylist the other day and she straight up asked me, is applying to med school that hard? And it just made me feel like all the hard work that I put in was disregarded and not really recognized by people who are not in the profession or who are not familiar with this. So I just wanted to take some time to let you guys know that I am really proud of you. So keep up the good work. Part 2 will be coming very shortly, and I'm super excited for that one. So be on the lookout. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you could hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate your support.